Portland, 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 Oregon. Keep Portland weird.
Portland.
Oregon?
Yeah.
That is the motto, right? Okay, well, Portland is definitely weird, but unfortunately, it's not the same weirdness that it used to be back in the day, okay? The weirdness going on in Portland now consists of a lot of homelessness, a lot of theft. Oh, excuse me, I meant to say houseless people and people in need of free things. Okay.
No, I'm in touch with humanity.
Because you see, when you talk about Portland, you have to understand that it's an extremely liberal city. And Portland is also seen as a hub for progressive politics, activism, and environmental sustainability. And the city has a long history of pushing social change, whether it's advocating for LGBTQ plus rights, racial justice, or more sustainable urban living practices. Portland's political scene tends to lean very left. So that being said, Portland is an ideal city for protesters, and that's exactly what happens. People go there, they protest, they usually don't even live in these communities and these neighborhoods, and they just cause a ruckus. They shut businesses down, they cause interruptions in the daily lives of the citizens there, just trying to go about their normal day of getting to work and back home. And what we're going to talk about in this case, they were instrumental in interrupting a local resident's attempt just to get a peaceful night's sleep. So we know there's been ICE protesting happening around the country. Today we're going to talk about the one that's been going on in Portland, Oregon for a little over a month now. These protesters have been out there all night, every night, making all types of noise. And then you have the tear gas from the ICE facility. When they have to leave to and from the ICE facility, they have to disperse the crowd of protesters. So then they deploy these tear gas. And this lady has made several complaints to, the Portland Police Bureau and whoever she needs to let them know that, hey, it's become so disruptive to where she couldn't sleep. There started to be loud pitch noises coming from the protest, and she's saying that it was the protesters who were making these loud pitch noises that eventually caused damage and her ears to bleed. Yes, you guys, all right, it got that serious. So you guys, that's just a small example of the type of noise that the residents in this area of this protest have been subjected to, these nights on these protests. So as I was watching some Portland news, some of the news outlets were saying that they weren't really sure where the noise was actually coming from. But if we look at this protester right here, this person is holding a device. And they're pushing, buttons, it looks like. And this is where the noise is coming from, that high-pitched, annoying sound that kept these residents nearby up at night. And as you can see, they're putting it to this bullhorn that they're holding. And they're just releasing these loud pitch and annoying noises that eventually drove this woman crazy, basically, to where she had to go over and confront these protesters to let them know how much this was actually affecting her. And during all this, she had made several complaints to the city about having to endure all this unnecessary noise at all times of the night due to this protest going on. And she was just asking the city to enforce the noise ordinance so she can just get some peace and quiet, right? But her cries went unanswered, so in return, she decided to file a lawsuit against the city.
New tonight, a woman who lives near the South Portland ICE Facility and the near nightly protests is now suing the city because of the noise. Well, sirens like that, along with bullhorn messages from protesters, are among the noises Cloud Elvengrail says are making it torture, her word, to stay in her home. She lives in low-income housing just across the street. The noises, according to the lawsuit, have been happening well into the night and for weeks, and the plaintiff even believes her hearing has been damaged.
She's not saying that people should be able to stand out there and wave their signs and have, supportive honks every now and then come through. That's not what this is. She wants the weaponized noise to stop. She wants the city of Portland to come in and do their job.
So due to her filing this lawsuit, the city decides to clean their act up, okay? And it took them only 2 hours to clear these protesters out.
Brand new video outside the ICE facility in South Portland showing camps have been cleared out and protesters gone. This happened in the last several hours. When our crews were there earlier in the day, we did see camps and tarps and other supplies. Well, now it's all gone. Portland police say they don't clear camps, but do provide security during these actions.
And protesters have been there for a month now, and the camp has been causing commotion with neighbors who have complained about the noise. And we want to toss it now, and one neighbor filing a lawsuit against the city to try to get them to enforce that ordinance.
Despite them allowing this protest to go on for over a month, when fire was put under their butts, okay, when she put this lawsuit into motion, they sprung into action and cleared it out within 2 hours.
So, Christina, that camp is completely gone?
Yeah, as you guys mentioned, the tarps, the supplies, they were stacked up to here on this fence. There were about a dozen people that were staying here every day for the past month, as you mentioned. And then you saw in that video, Rapid Response clearing out that camp. Just a couple hours ago, we were here talking to some of those protesters about the lawsuit you mentioned. It was filed by a neighbor just across the street over noise she said is coming from these protests. Sounds like this at all hours of the night, prompting a lawsuit filed against the city by Cloud Elvengrail.
To me, that just shows the sheer disregard and disrespect that the city has for its residents and their rights to just like basic things like a peaceful night's sleep. I mean, really, you have to resort to a lawsuit in order for them to actually come out and do something about this protest that has been going on for over a month that has yielded no good results. I mean, these people came, they made a bunch of noise, they vandalized the building, and what happened? Nothing. The city now sits with a lawsuit on its hands. That's what happened. And that just leads me into a point I want to make. A lot of times when these protests happen, you know, it's a lot of people from places that are not where they're protesting. All right. A lot of these people do not live in Portland, Oregon. They're not from Portland, Oregon, but they are paid people who are paid probably by nonprofit organizations who are paid to go in there, stir up mess, you know, vandalize, do whatever means necessary to get whatever point across that they're trying to make. That's what most protesters are. That's why when you see them, they're wearing masks. They tend to have supplies, you know, they're fully geared up. They're able to have all this because they're fully funded by certain organizations. It's literally their jobs. And that's why when people comment, they're like, oh, do these people not have jobs? And how are they able to be out there every night, all night and protest? Because that's their job. That's what they get paid for. But I'm saying that to say that these protesters' interests are not the people. All right. They don't care. They don't even care about the residents there that are around, you know, and that's why the city has this lawsuit on their hands right now, because they've allowed outsiders to come in there and basically be a nuisance to the people who have to live in the neighborhood, and they haven't responded properly to the complaints from their citizens. That's why they found themselves in this lawsuit right now. And this lawsuit, you guys, is a doozy. Okay. I mean, it's a long one. There is a lot of detail in there about, you know, when she's called out for help, about this noise, and basically it's about her trying to hold the city accountable for not enforcing its noise ordinance. The lawsuit claims that the tear gas used by police or federal agents during protests has entered her apartment, making her ill, and that the chaos has triggered her PTSD. Her lawyer claims that she's trapped in her apartment, unable to leave for safety, and is subject to relentless noise every night. So Parrish, who is her attorney, explained that the lawsuit aims to push the city to enforce its noise regulations and argued that Cloud Elvengrail will that's just such a Portland name, you guys. All right. That she had experienced health issues due to the high-pitched sound she believes were coming from the protesters. There's supporting videos included in the lawsuit that show emergency vehicles and officials, though it's unclear which agency they belong to, outside the ICE facility. Sirens are heard in the footage, but the source of the noise is uncertain. Additionally, a piercing sound, which seems to be coming from a speaker, can be heard for an extended period of time. During an interview, Parrish, who's the lawyer, showed a video highlighting the constant noise from the protest, which she said occurs late into the night, causing significant distress for her client, Cloud Elvengrail. And the lawyer says she's developed physical ear injuries from the volume and pressure of the noise, which has been ongoing every night since the protest began in June. All right, since June. This lady has been dealing with this noise. And then the lawyer further claimed that Elvengrail experienced sharp ear pain on a particular loud night and later found blood in her ear. Yeah. So the woman's ear is bleeding due to this high-pitched, noise that basically they're weaponizing against the ICE facility. All right, just trying to just get at him any way they can. So the lawyer says that the lawsuit isn't seeking financial damages, but it intends to prompt the city to address the noise complaints from local residents. Basically, they just want the city to take some action to actually show that they care about the citizens that live there, not about the protesters coming there, and there's free speech. That's what the community wants. And the lawyer says this is about asking the city, why aren't they helping people in this community who are suffering? This goes beyond free speech. It's no longer protected speech. And then there's a video circulating about this lady, confronting the protesters about the noise. She's yelling profanities and insults, and rightfully so. Just imagine, you're trying to sleep and you just keep hearing these loud noises. It's hot in Portland, Oregon right now. She lives in low income housing. She doesn't have air conditioning, so she can't even open her window because of the constant tear gas that's flowing through the air. It's just been ongoing suffering for her. All right. And so the news interviewed some of these protesters, which is just a joke, all right? Because, a lot of, like I said before, a lot of these protesters don't even live in these communities. Like this guy right here, his name is Griffin, which is probably not his real name. Let's hear what he has to say about it.
One of the protesters, Griffin, says many neighbors have supported the protests.
From what I've heard from the neighbors that I've seen, because I am local here, we've got a lot of support from the neighboring community, and they know exactly why we're here.
Can I show you the video that they were using as evidence?
Sure.
See what you think of it?
I'm much more disturbed by the dozens of armed men coming out of that building to what? To a driveway. I have no idea what's happening here. But
what about did you hear that sound though? That squeaking sound?
The sound doesn't disturb me as much as the armed Gestapo.
So as we can see there, just the basic generic protester answer, it doesn't affect him because it doesn't affect him, right? Because he doesn't live there. He's probably been involved in the source of the noise, goes out, protests all night, goes wherever he goes to sleep during the day. So it doesn't faze him. Because as we heard him say, the sound doesn't disturb me, the dozens of army men, blah, blah, blah.
What about did you hear that sound though? That squeaking sound?
The sound doesn't disturb me as much as the armed Gestapo.
It's like, the sound doesn't disturb you because you are a source of the sound and you don't live there and you're not trying to sleep there. Another case in point, this lady right here who was also involved in the protest. Let's hear what she has to say.
The protest camp is not a monolith, though, and some, like Tracy Molina, would like to improve their relationship with neighbors.
And how long can we resist what ICE is doing to our families if we don't have the neighbor support?
And so she's complaining about how long can we resist if we don't have the neighbor support? Well, how about respect the neighbors? How about respect the neighborhood that you're so-called protesting in? Because she is another person who doesn't live there, all right? She goes there, she protests, makes noise, and then goes back home to her little tranquil wherever she is. I'm sure it's not the environment that she's creating for someone else. That's not what she's going home to. But here she is crying, but she's not the one that has a lawsuit claiming that her ears have bled due to the loudness of this whole protest stuff. I mean, it's ridiculous, you guys. And not only are these protests not staying peaceful, they can get violent as well. For instance, the news crew there, KATU, visited the camp several times, noting that while most protesters are open and willing to talk, some have reacted negatively to being filmed. And on one occasion, a KATU crew was chased by masked individuals wielding sticks and shouting racial slurs. And even after this type of treatment, the news still refers to these individuals as protesters. No, that's not protesters. That is like domestic terrorism. All right. You can't even go out and report on a story without being chased with sticks and verbally assaulted with racial slurs. Like, that's ridiculous. So in the midst of all this protesting and vandalism and destruction of government property, one has to wonder, what is the Portland police doing? Well, they did release a statement regarding the noise and what they plan to do about it. This is what they said. The Portland Police Bureau recognizes that noise stemming from demonstrations in the South Waterfront can be disruptive to people living and working in the neighborhood. You think? Please know, we take these concerns seriously. At the same time, we are committed to protecting individuals' rights to express themselves peacefully. Our goal is to strike a balance between public safety, community well-being, and constitutional rights. PPB continues to monitor nightly demonstrations in the South Waterfront. If noise levels rise to a point that violate city ordinances or impact public safety, PPB will address it as resources allow. Well, they did rise to a point that violates city ordinances, and now the city has a lawsuit on its hands. Concerning this lawsuit, Cloud Elvengrail posted up on X, and this is what she said. After countless nights of calling police for help and sleepless nights, enough is enough. I'm going to sue the city because we deserve better. If you want to help my effort to take back the peace, please go to her website and make a donation to my legal fund, Help Cloud. And you know, there were people on there supporting her, saying, thank you for fighting for what is right. Your bravery is setting an example for everyone to follow. You will encourage others that are in the same situation to stand up for themselves and not be bullied. God bless you. May you find justice and peace. And this person was right, because soon after that, there were other residents that followed in her footsteps and who came and actually stood up against the protesters. You know, they weren't as loud as she was, and you know, because she had gotten to that point, okay, but they came out with their signs and they were in support of the police and law enforcement intervening between the protesters, and then basically just not following the laws while they were quote unquote protesting. As we can see this video here, these are residents in that same community as Cloud, and they were inspired by her bravery and how she was able to go out there and tell them how she felt. So they decided to go out there and speak up for themselves as well. Well, you guys, that's going to be it for today. Let me know what you feel about this protest going on in Portland, Oregon. Let me know what you feel about this lawsuit that the city now has to deal with. Do you feel like it was warranted? And what would you do in that situation if there was a protest going on nearby that was really affecting your quality of life? If you enjoyed this video, please remember to leave it a like. And if you're new here, subscribe.